Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Paris again. My name is Charles Dossi. I'm the CEO of the dYdX Foundation. I will touch in the next minutes about the progress of dYdX, give you some insight about the testnet. We'll look at a few numbers about how the testnet is behaving so far and how the dYdX ecosystem is growing as well. Before we start, a safe harbor. None of this is financial advice, so please look at all the information we will discuss this morning as pure information only. Before we kind of deep dive into dYdX, I will give you maybe some thoughts about how we're co-building the new internet, trying to position ourselves in the history of the internet. So as you all know, the first computers came up in the 70s. Then we've got some beautiful code coming up out of Satoshi Nakamoto with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cosmos. And it's always very interesting to try to position ourselves into this kind of long timeline of the internet and thinking how will this extend. And maybe one kind of things you can think of is where would you position Facebook, Mongox, Uniswap, FTX. So the history is being unfolded before our eyes, and it's important to be active and aware of where we're coming from. I believe as well we are moving from a bureaucratic age where governments, centralized entities are kind of driving a lot of our activities as a society and moving into an algorithm age. And it's important to have the right infrastructure around us to essentially build trust where there is no trust, one of the core functionalities of blockchains in general, but also thinking on how AI and some other algorithms around our life will be essentially used and in a safe way so we can keep thriving in this kind of environments. Being in DeFi comes with responsibilities. At least this is what we believe at dYdX, and there is many of them. They keep evolving. One of them is to stay engaged with regulators, and I guess the key point here is not to think of regulators as people which will be chasing us, but really having a constant conversation with them. And also one important thing, in my opinion, is to really think on how we approach regulators via demonstrating what is the value proposition of DeFi and make them understand how many of their mission essentially align with many of the functionalities and output from DeFi. If you think about this, governments are building on CBDCs. You might have your views on CBDCs, but it's also something which we can consider as a blessing for our space, a blessing for our technology in general. So stay engaged with regulators. Don't claim DeFi is better. Demonstrate DeFi is better. I think that's something we can all do wherever you are in the world. We need to keep also explaining. We are early adopters. We have clarity about this, but many people are still confused between money crypto and tech crypto. That's something to pay attention to. And also maybe, and I'm speaking here maybe to the product leaders in the room, thinking of the negative framing some of our industry jargon broadcasts to users. When we speak about non-custodial wallet, some people will think, so what is a wallet doing exactly? Of course, we understand the technology, but the users have a long journey to get into this kind of complex words we use. Permissionless. What would your cousin or uncle think of a permissionless business? It means there is no permissions of any ways, and so where is safety? How can I trust something which has no permissions? Immutable, government-free, or trustless. Claiming that your application is trustless makes sense to me, but maybe not to newcomers in our space. So I think we have some efforts also to do as an industry to kind of rethink the words we use and not asking people, for example, to sign in with their wallet. In my opinion, that's not really kind of a natural way. When I say hello to you this morning, I'm not asking to look at your wallet. I just want to shake hands and making sure you're a real human. So thinking about the wording we use, I think will really help us to go to the next wave of users as well. And keep building DeFi product which have the user intention really at core. That's also kind of pushing into an open door, but that's really something which has been lacking in the past in few instances in the world of CeFi. We've seen that with a few exchanges collapsing, and that's something we need to keep bringing and keeping in mind when we build DeFi to really differentiate ourselves and keep striving. Improve user experience, as well as delivering functional DAOs. At dYdX, the ecosystem is building DAOs, and we are really working, we're going to come back to this in a few minutes, on making sure these DAOs are functional, delivering diligent work for the ecosystem, purchasing services and partnerships the right way. That's also a long journey we all started with, and that's something we should be all kind of co-working on. Let's come back to dYdX. For those of you which are not familiar with dYdX, dYdX was born in 2017. It was first built on Ethereum layer 1. The app was created by Antonio Giuliano, a former Coinbase engineer. Fast forward, we were one of the very early movers, moving to layer 2s. So with StarkX from Starkware. To give you an order of kind of a sizing of dYdX over the past years, in 2022, dYdX reported $466 billion of trading. So that's clearly a product which finds a first level of product market fit and get attention from many users. The next step for dYdX is the dYdX chain. It's built on the Cosmos SDK, and it's a customizable chain as well. We'll come back to this in a few seconds. So where are we with the dYdX chain? As an ecosystem, this kind of journey started almost a year and a half ago. There was several testnets for developers, internal, private, and we are now in the public testnet. So there is today up to 50 validators, if I remember well, and the platform keeps running on Ethereum and will be migrating over the next few months in the new dYdX chain. So last year, about 30,000 active traders, as I mentioned, $466 billion of trading volume, and some fees all shy of 150 million. The public testnet is something we are very excited about. We have a lot of great teams and minds supporting the testnet. You can see a few logos here, and I will say a big cocorico to the French teams involved. Thank you for your support. We're really grateful for that. So far, the testnet has been recording about 4.5 million transactions. There is a 1.87 second block time. And what is interesting is to see how this ecosystem of validators is also growing and getting kind of new brands coming up in the space. So we see the usual suspects of the crypto industry are here. But we also see people like Google Cloud, we see people like Galaxy, which are more coming from either pure infrastructure or trading as well. And there is some other names which will come up in the coming weeks. Why do we build the dYdX chain? The core reason for that is we want to keep progressing in decentralization. dYdX is a protocol for decentralized finance, but the technology has been only enabling us so far to decentralize so much. So on the current version on Ethereum, the order book is actually off-chain. There is no chain capable to support the kind of velocity of the order book of dYdX. And moving to dYdX v4 enables us to progress in decentralizing the matching engine, the order book, and when the time comes later on, the sequencers. The community is also building DAOs. The dYdX chain will improve by an order of magnitude the throughput of the chain in general, as well as accelerating the finality of the trade, and essentially settling the foundation for many new products which will be coming from various teams built around the dYdX chain. Some platform statistics. We come back to some of the numbers we were mentioning earlier. So the main trading pairs are Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and many others. The average daily volume on dYdX is about $1 billion of trading volume. So far, we've been recording about $200 billion of trading. Quite a few fees have been collecting, a shy 50 million, and about 127,000 active traders on the platform. Let's look at the code a little bit, the architecture, very briefly. The dYdX chain is built out of 3 main components. The protocol itself, the chain built out of the Comet FBT and the Cosmos SDK. So the validators have 2 roles within the dYdX chain. The first role is to verify and mint blocks on the chain itself, but they are also hosting a version of the order book. So the order book is essentially being updated between the validators. So technically, the order book on dYdX chain is decentralized, but does not sit on chain. That will bring too much latency. So it's sitting on the memory of the validators. That's a very, very interesting kind of architecture solution choice from the team involved. There is also an indexer, which is bringing some kind of Web 2 access in read-only mode to the chain, as well as front-end for desktop, for apps, should you be on Android or iPhone. So essentially, we are becoming a protocol. dYdX as an application is becoming a protocol, getting a full stack approach. Within the dYdX ecosystem, we also have DAOs. So there is 2 DAOs which are active today. The Grants DAO, which has been distributing close to $3 million so far to 100+ projects, as well as the Operations DAO. So the Operations DAO was created by the community a little bit earlier this year. It received funding of $6 million. It will be the first DAO which will be using third-party auditors to essentially look at their operation, making sure it's kind of diligent, making sure the purchasing processes are in line with industry standards. So it's really also looking at how we can professionalize this type of infrastructure and making sure they are efficient and supportive of the ecosystem. If you want to know more about the ecosystem, the dYdX Foundation is issuing every year an ecosystem report, so you will see a little bit how is growing our ecosystem when it comes to market makers, developers, validators. So I really invite you to take a quick picture of this one to get a snapshot of 2022, and we should get at the end of the summer an update about what has been happening so far in 2023. So the takeaway for this talk is really looking at how we are progressing in decentralization and how we are leveraging the technology from Cosmos to essentially upgrade our platform. The source of the code of dYdX will be totally open source in the coming weeks, from the matching engine to the user interface. So keep an eye on this. And it's really, I think, a step forward for an application to build its own infrastructure and thinking how it's kind of deeply upgrade its architecture, leveraging the technology of Cosmos and also working on other topics such as MEV, for example. Some takeaways: we are becoming a protocol. We are building our own chain. The DAOs of dYdX will really manage, together with the community, all the roadmap and the execution of dYdX in the coming months. And it's really a great use case for leading applications to leverage the technology and build their own infrastructures. Paris loves blockchain. We mentioned this many times this week. There is one emoji missing here. Sorry about that. If you want to join the ecosystem, there is a part of the team which is here today at Nebular, so you will recognize us obviously with the dYdX t-shirt. If you want to talk to us about validation, about integration, about joining as a contributor of the DAOs, or maybe being employed by the DAOs, I know the Operations DAO is hiring today SRE engineers and many other posts. So feel free to be in touch with us and start your journey with us with dYdX. You can join us the conversations on Twitter with the dYdX Foundation website. dYdX.forum is a website I really recommend. There is many subsections for different type of contributors to the ecosystem, so it's a good starting point, as well as connecting directly with the DAOs of dYdX, dYdX Grants website, as well as dYdX Operations DAO website. Thanks a lot for your attention. If you want to collect your NFT for attending this talk, you can shoot a quick picture on this one and claim your credentials for this talk. We look forward to the conversations. We have a booth upstairs, and we will be around all the day. Thank you very much, everyone.